The meeting of August 19th, Wednesday, 2026. Thank you, council, for being here and staff. Appreciate your attendance and those in the gallery as well. We'll call the meeting to order. We begin this gathering by acknowledging that the land upon which we meet is the traditional territory of First Nations people who have a long-standing relationship with the land, water, and regions of Southwest Middlesex. We convey our respect to our Indigenous neighbors and thank them for their contributions to our culture, community, our past, and partnerships in the future. And we should also mention that we enjoyed the partnership between Chippewa of the Thames and Southwest Middlesex on the ball tournament that commenced last week and finished up on Saturday or Sunday. We enjoyed working with our Indigenous partners and look forward to having events in the future. Please note that any failure of the audio or video streaming equipment for the meeting or any portion thereof does not invalidate the outcome of the meeting. Council, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? I have not been advised of any. We'll move on. Confirmation of the agenda. The agenda has been circulated for August 19th. And the recommendation is that it be accepted as presented. Is there a mover and a seconder for that? Thank you. Councillor Emery, Councillor Myers, all in favor? Carried. Delegations and presentations. I have been advised that there is none. The consent agenda is somewhat brief. 8 items on it. I'll go through them. If any councillor wishes to speak to one of these and any order of business, if it's not in depth, we'll deal with it immediately. If it is more complex, we'll deal with it in new business. Draft minutes of the regular meeting of council, July 15th. Draft minutes of the special meeting of council, August 5th. Voucher report, July 2026. First half of the building activity summary report. Oh, Don, did you have a question on vouchers, Don? Okay, all right, no problem. Building activity report. Arnie, would you like to speak to that? It's great getting it as they say, right from the horse's mouth, you know, and but Arnie, we're pleased you're here, and perhaps we could chat with that. The numbers are just slightly down, but anyway, we'll see. We hope for better days ahead. I think they're coming shortly. Yeah, Colleen will get you wired up there. Thanks.
Yeah, through the mayor, I'm happy to be here to present the first half building report, summarizing the first half activity and more specifically information on the second quarter, what we've seen. In the introduction to my report, make a reference that it's generally fairly consistent with what we've seen in the previous years, but there are a couple outstanding numbers that we should outline to council that we are pleased with. In the report, I provide 3 tables. The first table shows the number of permits we've seen in the first half this year compared to the previous year, as well as permit fees and value of construction. Something stands out generally is we've had 62 permits this year compared to 48 over the same period last year, and permit fees have reflect that as well. We're up in the fees a bit as well. 77,000 has been brought in, and construction value is generally similar to what we've seen previous years. Second table report outlines more specifically the types of permits that we receive, whether it be single houses, garages, decks, pools, farm buildings. They're generally outlined with the numbers seen in the second quarter and then what we've seen in the first half, and then a comparative of what we've seen in the previous year's first half. And something that really stands out is the number of new dwellings we've seen this year. In 2025, we've seen 6 new dwellings in the first half, and this year we're up to 13. So we've more than doubled the new dwellings that have been created this year already, and more to come. You'll see in the third quarter report when I bring that this fall to council. The third and final table is a summary of what we're seeing across our service partners. Middlesex Center provides inspection services not just to Southwest Middlesex, but also to 5 other municipalities in Middlesex County. And overall, the total number of permits we've seen this year are 526 compared to 437 of last year. The number of new dwellings we've seen across our service area is 197 new dwellings compared to 114. And the total construction value is up to 170 million from 150 million. So some really good, strong indicators there. Some municipalities have seen more growth than others, but certainly in Southwest Middlesex, we're pleased to see the number of new dwellings double from what we've seen over the first period. One that really stands out is North Middlesex. They've had 83 new dwellings this year compared to 41 in the previous year. Park Hill has seen a townhouse development come up in the first half of this year that really propped up their numbers, but they've seen 3 or 4 good years consistently. But anyways, it's generally a good news report for Southwest Middlesex, and I'm happy to answer any questions council have.
Thank you, Arnie, very much. We are delighted to see shovels in the ground, both in the north and the south. So it's good. Council, any questions? Yes, go ahead, Martin, please.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. To Arnie, I'm reading your second chart here. It says septic for 1,036,000. So I'm a little confused about that. Does that mean septic tanks? And that's a lot of money for septic tanks.
Yeah, through the mayor to Councillor Vink, that's a great point, Councillor. I will get that reviewed, and I suspect there's an error there.
Right.
Yeah, that's a very good find.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Vink. Any further questions? Good. Well, Arnie, thanks very much, and certainly thank your staff on our behalf as well. We are pleased with the services you provide and couldn't get along without you. Thanks again. We'll continue on. Middlesex County Council meeting highlights. Middlesex London Health Unit, St. Clair Region Conservation Authority, and the last being Western Lake Erie Regional Conservation Authority. And the amalgamation of those conservation areas will commence February 1st, 2027. It's quite a change. And it's a real move in administration. Well, hopefully it'll work out as they anticipate. The chair will entertain a motion to receive the consent agenda as presented. Is there a mover and a seconder? Councillor McCollum, seconder for that, please. Councillor Haggett, all in favor? That's carried. Well, there's lots of planning on the agenda tonight. We're starting to get into that right now. We will enter a committee of adjustment. The Council of the Municipality of Southwest Middlesex will enter into the Committee of Adjustment at 6:08. Can I have a mover and a seconder for that, please? Councillor Emery, Councillor McCollum, all in favor? Carried. We'll call the meeting to order. The time has been stated. We are looking at the first. We'll have is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? None has been reported. We have the minutes of the July 15th meeting that have been circulated. Is there a mover and a seconder to adopt those minutes as presented? Councillor Myers, Councillor Vink, all in favor? That's carried. We will now enter the Committee of Adjustment and put our hands at work. We have 4.1, the consent application B4 2026, submitted by Paige Hansor on behalf of Minima Farms in care of Green Minima. Plan a presentation. If you'd like to walk us through this, it would be great. Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you very much. So the first application before the committee this evening, again, is for B4 2026. This is 23899 Dundonald Road, or County Road 80. The subject lands are located on the southwest corner of Dundonald Road and Oilfield Drive. The subject lands are designated agricultural within our official plan and zoned A1, general agriculture, within our zoning bylaw. The lands are approximately 39.76 hectares in size, with 664 meters of frontage along Dundonald and approximately 603 meters along Oilfield Drive. The lands contain a patch of significant woodland as identified through the Middlesex Natural Heritage System study, located on the western portion of the property, and a municipal drain which transects the middle of the property, and that is regulated by the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority. The purpose and effect of this application is to sever a surplus farm dwelling due to farm consolidation. The location map shows the location of the area to be severed from the larger farm parcel. The lands to be severed would have approximately 130 meters of frontage with an area of 0.76 hectares or 1.87 acres. The lands proposed to be severed would contain a single detached dwelling, barn, and detached garage, as well as a privately owned septic system and well. The severed lands have an access off of Dundonald currently, and I would note that the applicant is proposing the municipal drain as the southwesternmost lot line for the severed lot. The lands proposed to be retained would contain the farmland and would be used for agricultural purposes. They also contain 2 grain bins located at the rear of the existing barn. Access to the agricultural lands will need to be verified or new access granted. That's a requirement of the recommendation conditions of approval. My goodness. So the provincial planning statement, County of Middlesex official plan, and the Southwest Middlesex official plan generally permit the creation of a lot for a resident surplus to a farming operation as a result of farming consolidation, subject to criteria identified in our official plan. The intent is to minimize the loss of agricultural land, ensure the continued viability of the retained agricultural lands, address servicing, access, and compatibility with surrounding agricultural uses. In this case, I am satisfied that the proposed consent is consistent with the policy framework. Farm consolidation has occurred, and the existing dwelling, which was constructed in the 1800s, may be considered surplus to the needs of this operation. The proposed severed parcel is limited in area necessary to accommodate the existing dwelling, accessory structures, private well, and septic system, and the balance of the property will remain for agricultural use. As noted in our official plan, there's a number of criteria that we need to take into consideration. The first being that there are no new dwellings permitted on the remnant farm parcel. This is addressed through the requirement for a rezoning, which would be addressed through a separate application. Farm buildings, the applicant has requested to maintain the barn and detached garage for use for the residential property. There are 2 agricultural bins located at the rear of the existing barn, which will remain with the agricultural lands. However, I have included a condition of recommendation for approval, and that is to just ensure that the bins are located a minimum of 15 meters from the new lot line, which is what is required under the A1 zone. Other than that, I am satisfied that subject to that condition, there's no remaining concerns related to the retention of the farm buildings in proximity to the proposed residential lot. I am satisfied that the agricultural land, the loss of agricultural land, has been kept to a minimum based on the proposed size and orientation of the lot. The existing dwelling is serviced by private well and septic, and the condition will be that the applicant demonstrate that the adequate and potable water supply exists, as well as the existing septic system is adequate as well. Vehicular access will be required for both the residential lot and the farmland. And overall, I am satisfied that this meets the criteria for our requirements. The application was circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. We received a comment from the Public Works Manager about requiring individual accesses for the 2 lots. The county engineer does require a road widening up to 15 meters from the center line of Dundonald Road, as it is a county road, which has been reflected in the conditions as well. And the drainage superintendent identified that a drainage reapportionment for the Keith Cameron drain and government drain number 1 will be required, which is included as a condition as well. No public comments were received during the circulation of this application. Therefore, my recommendation this evening is approval, subject to the 14 conditions outlined in my report. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Aaron, very much. I just checking a message from Amanda here. Just give me a minute, please. Okay, thank you very much, Aaron, for that. Very concise and accurate planning report. The applicant or his agent are invited to address the committee at this time. Are they present virtually or digitally? Don't see any.
Sorry. Can you hear me or no?
Yes, very well.
Oh, okay. I am here on behalf of Minima Farms, actually for an application that I think we're going to be reaching momentarily. I believe my client submitted this without, I don't know anything about this, so I don't want to speak to it, but because I am here for Minima Farms, I thought I might as well speak up for a moment. But I have nothing to add.
All right, very well. With that, there is a process that we have to take, and that's why we offer you the courtesy of that invitation. And it may come back again to you. But that's fine. And thank you for advising us of that. Have there been any oral or written submissions, Aaron, on this? There have not. Okay. Committee members and questions. The chair will be invited to ask questions, comments, or from the Committee of Adjustment members. Are there any? Seeing none. It is time to ask the committee to consider the application and proceed with a decision. The recommendation is before you, contingent upon the 14 conditions, quite complex.
Mayor Mayhew, just
Yep.
for the record, just because people can't see who's in the back there, can we just confirm that there's nobody in the audience that will speak? I know
Okay.
the
Yep.
oral and
Okay. The invitation
were
was
together.
extended to people to speak to this, and we will include members of the audience. Are there any? Seeing none, the scribe will report that there were no members present to speak on this. And the chair will entertain a motion to accept the recommendation as circulated. Councillor Vink, you'll move that. Thank you. A seconder for that. Councillor Haggett. Last call for questions. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. And I don't think our work is done yet on this, is it, eh? We have 4.2 before us, consent application B6 2026, submitted by Strick, Baldinelli, Moniz on behalf of a number company, Ontario Limited, known as Waverly Homes, and Yazir Yemen project. We will begin this. Can the planner provide us with an introduction to this application?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So the next application before the committee this evening doesn't have a 901 address in our system, but it is located on Glencoe Main Street, on the west side of Main Street, County Road 80, with frontage on both the north side of Centerville Drive, as well as Main Street. The property is approximately 34.5 hectares. It has approximately 262 meters along Main Street of frontage and 392 meters of frontage along Centerville. A portion of the property is located within the settlement area of Glencoe, and the remainder is located outside the settlement boundary. The portions of the land within the settlement boundary are designated residential within our official plan and is also subject to draft plan of subdivision file 39T SM 2001. Which received draft approval on August 10th of 2021. This is also known as the Lachlan Glen subdivision. The applicant is currently working to satisfy the conditions of draft approval, and the plan has not yet been final approved. These lands are zoned a number of residential zonings with hold provisions, as well as open space for a future park. The portion of the property located outside of the settlement boundary is designated agricultural within our official plan and zoned general agricultural A1. Within the zoning bylaw, these lands are currently vacant and in agricultural production. So the purpose of this application is to sever the lands designated for residential development within the boundary from the agricultural lands located outside of the settlement boundary. So these lands are, although it is technically part of the same parcel, one is within our settlement boundary, one is outside. This is a very specific settlement line. This is where development is permitted within the boundary and development is not permitted outside of the boundary. So the intent of this application is to sort of isolate the agricultural piece of the lands and sell it back to the former owner, John Doby, for part of his agricultural operation. So very specifically, I just wanted to highlight that this is not earmarked for development at this time. This agricultural parcel is really, it's within our prime agricultural area. It's under the designation of prime agricultural land and is not earmarked for development at this time. The proposed severed parcel will have approximately 294 meters of frontage along Centerville Drive in an area of approximately 19.71 hectares. The proposed retained parcel will contain the lands earmarked for draft plan of subdivision and will have approximately 97 meters of frontage along Centerville, 262 meters along Main Street, and an area of approximately 14.5 hectares. So the provincial planning statement, county official plan, and the Southwest Middlesex official plan direct the majority of our future growth and development to designated settlement areas where municipal services are available. The proposed retained parcel is entirely within the settlement area boundary, is designated for residential development, and forms part of draft plan of subdivision, which received approval in 2021, as previously stated. The proposed consent would separate these lands, resulting in a lot configuration that reflects the municipality's planned land use structure. No change in land use is proposed through this application. The retained lands will continue to be subject to the draft plan approved subdivision. The severed lands will remain designated and zoned for agricultural use. The proposal has been considered in the context of the agricultural land protection policies of the provincial planning statement, county official plan, and Southwest Middlesex official plan. While these policies generally discourage fragmentation of prime agricultural lands, in this case, the proposed consent is intended to establish a property boundary between lands already planned and approved for development and those that are designated for agricultural use only. It does not create a new residential lot within the agricultural area, does not facilitate a non-agricultural use, and does not introduce any additional development pressure on agricultural lands. I did want to note that the proposed severed agricultural parcel will be approximately 19.71 hectares, which is of course below the required 40-hectare farm parcel size in our zoning bylaw, which is a minimum in the A1 zone. And the parcel also has an approximate frontage of 294 meters, whereas 300 meters is required in the zoning bylaw as well. This will need to be recognized through a minor variance application, and I've recommended it as a condition of approval in my report. However, I am satisfied that the proposal maintains the broader intent of our agricultural land use policies, notwithstanding these deficiencies. The application was circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. The Public Works Manager requires that the severed lot is to have suitable entrance constructed in accordance with municipal standards to the satisfaction of the municipality. The Drainage Superintendent also identified that the property owner will be required to obtain a drainage reapportionment for the Graham Drain in accordance with that the Drainage Act rather. The county engineer did not have any requirements as any land dedication was taken during the subdivision process. The application, again, was also circulated to the public. There was a number of phone calls that I had with some local residents. I think the focus of those concerns that were brought forward were primarily to do with the plan of subdivision themselves, rather than what is proposed this evening. So the draft plan of subdivision, while I do understand the concerns of those who have submitted in writing, as well as those I spoke with on the phone, the intent of this application this evening is really just about the severance. The draft plan was approved in 2021. There's no opportunity at this point to make changes to that plan. This is, like I said, just in regards to the severance. So that being said, my recommendation this evening is approval, subject to the 9 conditions outlined in my report. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron, very much. Again, I don't want to oversimplify this report, council, but it is house cleaning on a severance manner is what it is. And the decisions on that plan of subdivision have been made. There's such plans, there's always some fluidity to it. Minor changes may be made along the way and approved by staff and council together. But we're dealing with a severance here tonight. Any questions in regard to that subdivision and its design may be ruled out of order by the chair. And we're dealing with the severance on that. Applicant, agent or comments, is the agent present? Thank you very much. Colleen will make sure you're wired up there. If we want to see a red light on that microphone. There you go. You got her. Thanks very much.
Thank you,
And
Your
if you
Worship.
could introduce yourself for the record.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of Committee of Adjustment. My name is Paul Hind. I'm a senior planning advisor to Strict Baldinelli Menez, representing the client, which is a numbered company 1926628 Ontario Inc., Waverley Homes, which is located in London. Thank you, Aaron, for a very detailed report and summary of what has been presented and proposed to you. We have no objection to the 9 conditions that are being suggested, and we will be working wholeheartedly in trying to address all of those. As Aaron had indicated, this clearly, when the property was purchased, it was one entire parcel, and our client recognized that only half of the parcel was within the settlement area of the municipality. Thus, a subdivision was proposed. It started back in about 2020 with formal submissions in about 2021. It had always been the intention that those lands that were outside of the settlement area that could not be developed for residential purposes were going to be conveyed back to the original owner for farm purposes. And it was a gentleman's agreement that once everything was getting finalized, the lands would be severed, and he gets the agricultural land back to continue it in agricultural operations, and our client would be able to develop the residential subdivision. The residential subdivision had its first submission in 2021, and I believe committee has the Committee of Adjustment report, and on or about page 28 through to 30, there was a written submission that is probably attached to your agenda. I would respectfully suggest that all of those concerns are dealing with the draft plan of subdivision. The draft plan of subdivision was originally submitted, as I said, in 2021. There was a hydrogeologic report submitted December 2nd, 2021, geotechnical report, December 10th, 21, civil engineering design, December 23rd, stormwater management, December 23rd, water sanitary functional servicing report, December 23rd, all in 21. It went through extensive review by the county, municipal staff, and government agencies, and everybody who reviews plans of subdivisions. There was a second submission to update in 06/16 of 22 for civil, stormwater management, and water servicing. SPREET then was involved and reviewed all of the reports. There was a third review, 11/17 of 22, a fourth submission, 08/24/23 for civil engineering design, stormwater management, and water sanitary. And then finally, a fifth submission for civil and stormwater on 1/11 of 24. So the plan of subdivision has gone through 5 different submissions, and we were finally grateful that we were able to receive draft plan approval with the county with all of the engineering designs. The plan of subdivision was actually just extended a couple weeks ago because it was going to lapse, and so there is an extension, and the reason for that extension is that part of the conditions of the draft plan approval is providing the security. The security is in excess of $3.5 million. And so you can imagine in today's economy, lenders are a little hesitant of wanting to back a 3.5 million security on a residential subdivision when the market really isn't that active right now. And so we do have the extension for the draft plan approval. We are not planning on changing any of the lotting pattern. We're not changing any of the road locations, the park or anything like that. We're fully acceptable and competent and feel that it's a well-designed subdivision that has been designed in accordance with hydrogeological, geotechnical, stormwater management, water servicing, and sanitary servicing, which has all been supported by the county and the municipality over the course of the year. So we're before you tonight just strictly on the severance of taking those lands that are in the settlement area and dividing a line to separate it from those lands that are not in the settlement area so that those lands can then be conveyed back to the original owner, Mr. Dobie. So
that is understood, I'm sure, by all of council at this point, and thank you very much. Yeah.
I'll
it's,
answer any questions if
yeah, it's
members.
very common. We've got that urban-rural partnership, and this certainly is evident of that. Any questions from council? Yes, Councillor Vink, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. Yes, in light of the fact of that letter, I want to ask about the drainage. Now, I could be wrong, but there was a drainage agreement for the new subdivision for the industrial road pumping station. So will that have any effect that we're taking approximately half of the land or a little bit more than half the land off the agreement with the industrial road pumping station?
Well, we're talking now plan of subdivision issues, which isn't before the committee today, but I can advise you that there will be phasing of the subdivision in accordance with what available capacity is for not only sanitary, but all of the services within the municipality, water and everything like that. It's been detailed in the subdivision agreement, and we'll be working towards doing that. Now, we cannot get firm allocation of the capacity until the subdivision agreement was registered, which it was a couple of weeks ago, but we also have to provide the securities for you. And so everything was designed within the subdivision in accordance with the requirements that were being asked for by the county or municipal staff or other government agencies. So.
And our municipality are making upgrades to our infrastructure to increase our capacity, and those are going forward as planned. And we certainly know the responsibility we have to ensure that we're accommodating responsible development. And the stormwater management has been exhaustively looked at this particular subdivision. And again, I reiterate that this is a severance matter, council, and that's what we're dealing with.
Our client is extremely anxious to proceed. He would have liked to have proceeded an awful lot earlier. In my 48 years of being in the planning industry, a 5-year plan of subdivision is a long time.
Yeah, it has been a long time.
But
I can remember that well.
We can't control market conditions.
There was a lot of anticipation on this project, and I think there was a mix of housing in there. There is parkland for future recreation will be part of that, and we look forward to that. Council, we will move on. Have there been any? There has been a written submission that I hope will be there'll be out of respect to the author a response made indicating what work has commenced over the past 5 years and the opportunity the public had to adjust it and to give some assurances that our stormwater management is being looked at in a responsible manner from the chair. It is the mayor's wish that the author of that letter receive the courtesy of a response from planning? Anyone in the public gallery wishing to address anything on the severance? Okay, John, how are you doing? 5 years is a long time, John. Okay. Committee member questions from the chair in respect to the severance. Are there any? Seeing no hands, Paul, you must have done a good job. Committee decision to consider the application and the acceptance of the severance as the planners recommended. Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Myers, Deputy Mayor Schuldeis, all in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you, Paul, very
Thank you,
much.
Your Worship,
Mr. Hine.
and looking forward to having some development in the near future.
Okay,
Like
that's
those.
good. Get those shovels in the ground.
Get the shovels in the ground.
I hope that would happen during my term, but maybe it may not. Yeah.
I do have one subdivision that I'm still working on that was started in 1975.
Oh,
I want to see that in the ground.
It must be on a former landfill site or
No, it
something like
isn't.
that, isn't it?
So it's not the worst one, but.
Okay. Okay, that was 4-2. And let's see what else we've got. We have 4-3 consent application B5 2026 submitted by Paul Hendricks on behalf of Minima Limited. Planner, can you walk us through that application, please?
Sorry, I gotta press the button. Okay.
Oh, Alana, how are you? Good.
Good.
Thanks.
So before I begin, I would like to note, so this report that I'm presenting today deals with an application to be heard by the Committee of Adjustment, as well as an application to be heard by Council. So I'll go over the entire report and include a recommendation for the committee based on the consent to create an easement. And then the second recommendation related to the zoning bylaw amendment will be brought forward when we enter back into Council. So the purpose and effect of the consent application is to create a 6-meter wide well easement over the subject lands in favor of 22226 Tates Road. And the proposed well easement would provide legal access to an existing well located on the retained lands that are associated with consent applications B18-2024 and B19-2024, which were surplus farm dwelling severance applications conditionally approved by the committee in October 2024. And this easement is required to satisfy the condition of consent for B18, B19. And that the condition is that the owner must demonstrate adequate and potable water supply for the dwelling located at 22226 Tates Road. So this easement would provide legal access to the well and also assist in satisfying that condition. And then the purpose and effect of the zoning bylaw amendment application is to implement another condition of consent to rezone the retained lands from those previous consents to prohibit the establishment of residential uses on the remnant farm parcel, and then also to rezone the severed lands to permit or recognize the residential use. So as per section 5.4.1.9 of the Middlesex, Southwest Middlesex official plan, a rezoning application was required as a condition of consent. So the applicants have applied to rezone the severed lands to the rural residential zone and the retained farmland to the agricultural A2 zone. And staff are of the opinion that the minimum requirements for the RR zone appear to be met. With regard to the proposed well easement, staff are of the opinion that the consent application is consistent with the provincial planning statement and conforms to the County of Middlesex and Southwest Middlesex official plans, as the establishment of an easement is permitted within private agricultural areas, and it does not result in the creation of a new lot. So based on the foregoing, staff is satisfied that the subject applications are consistent with provincial policy and also conform to the county and Southwest Middlesex official plans. So with regard to the circulation of the public meeting notice, agency comments were received from the Southwest Middlesex Public Works Manager, the county engineer, the drainage superintendent, ExxonMobil, and these comments are included within the report. After the writing of this report, comments were received from the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority, who advised that the property is outside of their jurisdiction. No public comments or concerns have been received to date. So staff recommend that the report be received for information and that the application for consent be approved subject to the 6 conditions noted in the report, plus a 7th condition related to the drainage reapportionment. So that would be the wording for that 7th condition, that the owner initiate and assume, if required, all costs associated with the preparation of a revised assessment schedule for all drainage works affected in accordance with the Drainage Act as amended, and such costs be paid in full to the municipality prior to submitting a registered copy of the transfer. So that's our regular drainage reassessment condition. So that's my recommendation for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Alana, very much. The applicant or his agent are welcome to speak at this time.
Thank you, Your Worship. For the record, this is Paul Hendricks, agent for Minima Farms Limited. I agree with everything that's been submitted by the planner, and I appreciate her assistance in this matter. We're content with the conditions suggested. And just to give council a little more information, there was already one easement approved with the prior applications, but in preparing to submit and obtain the actual consents, it was determined that we needed a second consent because there are 2 properties being severed. And that's the reason why we brought this. I'm also happy to speak to the zoning amendment application if there are any questions. And then I would propose that I will sign off rather than stick around until they're read, simply because that seems like a formality. But I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Okay, thank you, Paul, very much. We'll move on. Any oral or written submissions received? Committee questions? Any questions to Paul or the planner? Yes, Mark, please go ahead.
I'm a little confused, but my question is to Alana. Is there only one well?
Through the mayor to Councillor McGill. So there are 2 wells. So each dwelling would be serviced by its own well, but both wells are on the retained land. So that's why they need this well easement.
So the 2 wells must be right close together.
Right.
Okay.
That's correct.
Because if there was only one well, you wouldn't be proposing that we accept this.
That's correct.
Each property is supposed to have its own well.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Mark? Any further questions from council? Seeing none, the committee will now make the decision to consider the application and proceed with the decision, and the recommendation is before you to accept the proposal conditional upon the 6 statements that are in your package. Is there a mover and a seconder for that? Councillor McCollum, seconder for that. Councillor McGill. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Alana, thank you very much. Council, the time is 6:44. The chair will accept a recommendation to move out of the Committee of Adjustment and back to council at 6:44. Is there a mover and a seconder? Myers, Haggett, thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. We are now in the public meeting portion of this itinerary tonight. The Council of the Municipality of Southwest Middlesex will be temporarily adjourned to permit the holding of a public meeting to consider the proposed zoning bylaw amendments to application P3 2026 and P6 2026. These meetings are an opportunity for the municipality to advise the public of the purpose and intent of the amendments and receive their input prior to consider an adoption and an implementing bylaw. 7.1, the zoning bylaw amendment, application P6 2026, submitted by Paul Hendricks on behalf of Minimum Farms. And the meeting order is a staff presentation. The planner will present the staff report and provide an overview of the proposed amendment. Go ahead, Alana.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. So this is the same property that I just spoke about. So staff recommend that the report be received for information and that the zoning bylaw amendment application be granted for the reasons outlined in the report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Applicant comments from the agent or applicant comments, and we know that we're working our way towards a bylaw on this, and I think the spokesperson has left. Oral submissions, any oral submissions here tonight? Anyone from the public wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, council questions and comments. Chair invites questions to the planner, if there's any. Yes, Councillor Myers, go ahead. Okay, thanks. Move that, seconder for that. Councillor Vink, all in favor? That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Alana. We appreciate that. We're on 7.2, zoning bylaw amendment application P3 2026, submitted by Adam McCollum on behalf of a number company Ontario and David Baruma on 3360 Centerville Drive. Alana, you're doing this one, are you? Or Aaron? Okay. Aaron, walk council through this, if you would, please.
Thank you very much. Sorry, that's back and forth between the planners this evening. So the purpose and effect of this application for zoning bylaw amendment is to implement a condition of consent B2 2026. This conditionally severed a lot with an area of approximately 0.64 hectares in order to accommodate the disposal of a surplus farm dwelling severance as a result of farm consolidation. The zoning bylaw amendment proposes to rezone the severed lands from general agricultural A1 to the rural residential RR zone to recognize the residential use and limit the range of permitted uses. The application also proposes to rezone the retained lot from general agricultural A1 to agricultural A2 to prohibit the establishment of new dwellings on the remnant farm parcel. The severed lands are approximately 0.64 hectares in size, contain the single detached dwelling, and are serviced by well and septic, and they also have an access from Centerville Drive. The retained lands would be approximately 50.3 hectares in size and are actively used for agricultural crop production. I did want to note that this application was brought forward the previous planning meeting. We had a slight error when we did the circulation of the public notice, where we did not take into consideration the fact that the lot had been merged with the adjacent farm parcel. So we recirculated the public notice with the location map that is shown above. On our mapping system, it does appear to be two lots. However, due to common ownership, it has merged. So we wanted to ensure that we were giving proper notice, and which has been done, and we can move forward with the zoning bylaw at this time. So the rezoning application was required as a condition of consent. This is to prevent any future residential dwellings from being constructed on the farmlands, which is required under our official plan and the provincial planning statement. Additionally, it was required that the severed lot be rezoned to reflect the residential use of the lands. All other criteria required to facilitate the surplus farm dwelling severance has been met or has been met, addressed through the conditions of the original approval. I am of the opinion that the standard zoning standards of the RR zone appear to be met for the proposed residential lot. I'm also satisfied that the A2 zone is appropriate for the remnant farm parcel. Therefore, my recommendation of the rezoning is approval. I have drafted a bylaw for council's consideration this evening. We did receive several comments from our agency and department circulation. However, they were addressed as conditions of the consent. So we're not reflected through, well, there's no ability to put conditions on a rezoning, but they have been met through that process. So I do want to ensure that everyone is satisfied with that. And there were no public comments that were received through this
Okay.
particular circulation. Thank you.
Aaron, it looks like you've done your homework well on that, and the proper notification have gone out. Applicants or agent, are they available for comment?
Adam McCullum is online.
Hi, good evening.
Yes.
Hi, good evening. Yes, yeah, thanks for having me here. We have no concerns with the merge of the property and what Aaron has suggested. And yeah, we have been working through the notice of decision comments, and we're satisfied with everything. I am here for any questions that may come through, and go from there. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for your interaction there and your engagement. That opportunity for council to ask questions will come shortly. As we've been advised, there's been no oral or written submissions. Council question and comments. Chair has been invited to ask questions if there are any. I'll pause for a moment to look at hands. Seeing none, council's decision is at this point. The recommendation has been made, subject to the conditions outlined. Is there a mover and a seconder to the planner's report? Councillor Haggett, seconder for that. Councillor Vink. All in favor? Carried. Thanks very much, Aaron. Appreciate that. Both you and Alana.
Thank you, council and your worship.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, you're all set to go. At the agenda, we're on number 8, staff reports. Chief Administrator Officer Amanda, are you with us vocally at this point? Is she? Come on, we're waiting to hear your voice from above.
Hi, can you
Hi.
hear me?
I can.
Wonderful. Can you see me? No.
At this point, I cannot. No.
Hmm.
I hear you're out in the bush or something like that. So
Cell service has been a bit difficult, but I'm glad to be joining you tonight. While I figure out my video, would you like me to present my report, Mayor Mayhew?
yes, please, if you would.
Okay, thank you. And through you, before you is a report intended to reduce unnecessary administrative delays when maintaining council's role in planning decisions. It also directly supports our service delivery and service excellence work and our focus on customer service, housing, and growth. So the report arose and the suggestion for streamlining arose because of our recent Appin Towns development and the special council meeting. It's a good example of a development where all the technical requirements related to servicing were satisfied, but because of the timing of council meetings, the developer would have had to wait more than 30 days for the holding symbol to be removed before building permits could be issued. The special council meeting did speed that up for that specific developer. But this isn't the first time we've encountered a similar situation when requirements for development are met, but we're effectively waiting for the next council meeting to complete an administrative step. Staff did a review of this specific development with Appin Towns, but also other areas where streamlining routine approvals could be beneficial to making things move a bit quicker. And we also identified temporary use approvals and other municipalities that are using delegated processes while still requiring all the agreements, securities, and time limits for that type of development proposal as well. Tonight, the report before you is just seeking council's support on the direction. We don't have any detailed bylaws or anything proposed at this meeting, but if council supports the concept of streamlining and delegating the authorities for temporary use bylaws, as well as administrative holds when all hold removal provisions when all requirements have been met, then we will bring all the details back to council. Just didn't want to do that work before we knew if there was council support. So the goal of the report is simple. Once all of the rules, conditions, and safeguards have been met, we just don't want council meeting schedule itself to be the thing that holds up housing or development. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Amanda, very much. The report has been given. The province of Ontario too has urged councils to become more efficient in their planning matters, and this would expedite the process of the chain of events that a developer has to go through. Questions from council, and I'm sure Amanda can ask them. Martin, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. My concern is, will the council be notified at the same time that this holding zone is going to be lifted? Because just for instance, the summers we were talking about earlier, I received an email and a phone call, and I didn't know anything about this summers at all. And so that makes all of us look bad, that that the council doesn't even know what's going on. And so this is what I'm concerned about, this situation here. Things are happening and council aren't aware of it at all.
I think, Amanda, would you like to address the councillor's concern?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Mayhew, through you to council and Councillor Vink. Great point and great question. So certainly we never want to see council be surprised. And although a bit off topic, your point about planning notices for today's severance has been well taken. We will address that communication gap between staff and council moving forward. But on this specific proposal related to holding provisions and temporary use bylaws, yes. So my intent was, if council is supportive of the concept, I would bring back a little bit more detail with a bylaw, which would outline the notification process to council as well. It would be our intent that council would be made aware at minimum through our weekly operational update processes, and then also publicly these types of approvals would need to be included on our agendas, even just as a consent item, because we want to make sure the transparency that is still present. But great point.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Vink. Anyone else? Okay, who's got a question? Mark? Go, yeah, Mark, I didn't see your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had the same concern as Councillor Vink, so I would like to see that in the bylaw, right in the bylaw, that the council be notified and that the public be notified. Like if it's in an agenda, then the public can see that the conditions have all been met and the holding symbol has been removed so that the development can proceed.
No, I think communication is the crux of the whole initiative. We'll make sure that it is in there, and Amanda and I can chat about that down the road too. We'll make sure that those concerns are addressed. All right, the recommendation, we're streamlining the planning approvals to support housing and development. Is there a mover to the recommendation? Councillor Emery, thank you very much. Seconder, Councillor Haggett. Last call for questions. Seeing none, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All opposed? 2. Motion. The recommendation is carried. And 8. We are at 8.2. 8.2.1. Adoption of municipal records and information management policy. Colleen, are you doing this? Good. Walk us through this.
Sure.
So this is just to revise the policy that we have. We do have a records management policy right now, but at the time we weren't using TomRIMS. We were using a program called OmniRIM, I believe. We haven't been using that for quite a few years. So we'd like to transition into TomRIMS, which is a standard one that's used across Ontario in a lot of municipalities. And the hope there is that by using this kind of process and having a program in place, we can become more efficient with our records management and just have a solid retention plan and get our records to a place where they're easily accessible, easily trackable, and that we are following a retention schedule. Does anyone have any questions?
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, this new software program, I tell you,
It's not a software program, it's just a way of organizing them. So it would still be using our drives that we have right now. There's
Okay.
no need for us to make any purchases. It's just the way the information is organized.
so no subscriptions and that.
No subscriptions, nothing. We
Okay.
have everything that we need, and we already have the files somewhat
Mhm.
in this kind of organizational state. So it won't take a lot of work in that way to put it in place, the file folders themselves. Getting everybody's files into it and in the proper place will take some time,
Okay.
as will, implementing this over, it will take quite a while to do it.
Okay.
But the hope is too, is that there's also authorization for the clerk to be able to revise the retention schedule as municipal legislation changes or different acts change, because that's what a lot of the retention schedule is based on. Different acts, privacy and information and so on. That's where the retention limits come from.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. Thank you, Colleen. Again, to increase our efficiencies in Southwest Middlesex. This is being proposed. Council, any questions to Colleen? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Vink.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Allen. Does that mean, Colleen, that everything eventually will be in the clouds? And my question would be, would the mayor have access to that too?
So this isn't with the idea of putting everything in the cloud. It's just on our own system, our own network.
All right, yes, Mark, go ahead.
This is along the same line. I know my first term in council, it came to council attention that there were still paper records down in Appin, the old Appin Town Hall. And there was talk about, what should we do about them? They've been there since before amalgamation. Do you know anything about that, Colleen, or how that might be dealt with?
I'm not aware of what records are there specifically, but the plan with this is that we do want to go through and do a complete inventory to see where everything is, what we have, because basically that's part of having efficiency within this program, is that you know exactly what files you have, and that files that need to be kept are kept, and files that need to be purged due to legislation will be on time. So part of what we would do is, as we get the regular files that we use on a regular basis organized, we would then start to branch out to look at other files that we have. So the idea is that eventually everything will be in TomRIMS. Is that making sense, the way I'm explaining
Yeah,
that?
yeah, sure, that's
Yeah.
making sense. And
Yeah.
also
Yep.
another thing, is there software that automatically deletes files that become obsolete? I think I've heard of that in other industries, like, legal and healthcare and things like that.
Mhm.
Would that be something that might be used?
I think there is software that does that. Our software at this point does not, but there are ways that we could flag when we do have files that need to be deleted. So then we are the ones who are responsible for making sure they're purged properly. So I think at the beginning, I'd probably prefer something like that, especially when we're trying to make sure we have all our files organized the way we want them. I think it's better for staff right now to be kind of in charge of when we're also purging, so that we can also have a system in place that documents that properly. So we have a record of exactly what has been purged. But my understanding is there are ways that can be flagged for us so that it's a lot easier to take care of that.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation, council. You've been lots of engagement on questions. We appreciate that. Recommendation is before you. Is there a mover and a second to adopt the recommendation as presented? Deputy Mayor Schuldice. Councillor Myers. All in favor? Carried. Colleen, thank you very much. That was a complex report. Thank you. And we again are improving our efficiency. Finance, Denise, I guess you're up next. A water and wastewater connection fees proposed and their implementation. If you'd like to walk council through that, we would be delighted.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew, and good evening, council. Tonight I have a report in front of council in regards to water and wastewater connection fees and a proposed implementation. Staff are requesting that council directs us to include water and wastewater connection fees in the 2027 user fees and charges bylaw, and that the water and wastewater connection fees be indexed annually in accordance with the consumer price index that we use for building department fees and charges, and further to remove the private connection fees relating to water and wastewater installations in Glencoe and Wardsville to be removed from the 2027 fees and charges. That is the recommendation in front of you tonight. Staff have reviewed the municipality's existing water and wastewater connection charges, the legislative framework available to the municipality, and options for establishing a more consistent approach to recovering costs associated with access to municipal water and wastewater servicing. Historically, the municipality has charged for a private connection fee through the user fees and charges bylaw. These fees generally range from $9,500 to $10,500, depending on the location and the scope of that private connection. And these include costs associated with the installation and, where applicable, road boring. Based on the review that staff have done, we recommend replacing the existing private connection fee structure with a standardized water wastewater connection fee. And the proposal that's before council to consider tonight is that the structure provides a clear, predictable, and equitable approach that recognizes the costs associated with providing and maintaining the current municipal infrastructure. We reviewed the costs and the financial requirements associated with the water wastewater systems, as well as the connection fees that are currently in place. The proposal is developed with the consideration of the existing charges and the intent of maintaining a generally comparable overall cost while we transition to a more consistent and transparent structure fee. This approach draws on the municipality's existing connection structure and reflects a method of recovery that is more commonly used prior to the widespread implementation of development charges, and a direct connection between the fee charged and the access to the municipal water wastewater current services. Based on our review on page 2 of my report, the recommendation by staff to implement a more graded fee structure based on the type of unit and we've broken it out based on water and wastewater usage. For example, for a single semi-detached dwelling, the water fee connection fee would be $7,000 and wastewater would be $3,000, and a total of connection fee of $10,000. For other multiple units, it would be $9,200. Apartments 2 bedrooms plus would be $8,700, and apartments with bachelor and 1 bedroom would be $5,500, and non-residential would be based on a square foot area. The connection fees would be applied at the same time as building permit approval, and the staff is also recommending a phased-in approach period to provide for the transition for the existing approved residential developments, and that's further broken out on my report. In 2027, if 100% exemption for the new connection fee for all of the active approved agreements, and in 2028, a 50% exemption from the connection fee, and then after 2029 thereafter, it would be full connection fee. Staff is also proposing that any agreements that are signed before January 1st would also be eligible for the transitional approach. In the the undertaking that staff went through in maintaining that it was consistent and a fair approach. It reduces the reliance on the existing taxpayers and utility ratepayers to finance infrastructure expansion. It preserves utility reserves for renewal and replacement of existing infrastructure, not growth, and reduces future borrowing requirements for growth-related infrastructure, and supports the municipality's asset management plan and long-term capital plan. And it also provides a transparent and equitable cost recovery framework. Happy to answer any questions should council have them.
Thank you, Denise, very much for that report. It is an example of good governance. Should it be adopted by council? And in addition to that, it is very fair to Stella, Lachlan Glen, and Glen Meadows to receive that exemption. So we are supporting local development, but we're also trying to foster good maintenance on future infrastructure. Any questions from council on the report? Yes, Mark, go ahead. And to the chair, to Denise, through the chair.
Yeah, through the chair to Denise. So this specifically mentions Glencoe and Wardsville and new development. What would happen with, and I know this has happened a few times since I got on council, say somebody out in the country, the house is already there, and it's serviced by a private well, and then for whatever reason, they decide they want to hook into municipal water, and they do. So then what would the fee be in that case?
A great question. Thank you, Councillor McGill, through the mayor. There would be no wastewater needs because they'd be on a septic system. And if they wanted to connect to the existing infrastructure to make space for that capacity, they would pay the connection fee for an in-lot fill for that property. And then it would be their expense to bring the water into their property.
Does that address the question?
I guess so. And what about somebody building a new house in Glencoe or Wardsville, and it was just on like not in a new development, not in a new subdivision, but just an infill? Then what would they pay?
Yep, another great question. So they would still pay the connection fee based on the dwelling type. And that again would be because the infrastructure that's currently in place is not already taking into the new capacity that they would be connecting in. If I would assume in a development area, the water connection is already passing by their house, and if it's already connected, then there would be no fee if it's already connected to the service. But if they need a new connection, that would be at their cost as it currently is.
Good, that's understood. Any further questions? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Vink.
Mayor Allen, what about the non-residential? It seems to be a lot higher than residential. I'm looking at non-residential, so for a commercial building, it's I believe 6 1/4. So you got 10,000 square feet. You're looking over $60,000, way more than for residential then.
That's a fair question, Councillor Bank. Thank you. So depending on the non-residential building, we could have commercial or industrial buildings that would be building within the municipality and would need that connection. So the philosophy is that based on the type of industry that they're bringing and the amount of water that they're bringing, the square footage usage would be a farly more consumption connection than it would be for a residential property. And that's why the square footage would be in place. The other thing that would be important to add here is with the CIP program, there are options for them to buy into the CIP, the Community Improvement Program, that Amanda's been working on and has spoke to council about, in that there would be concessions that would be available for grants.
Great. Yes, we've opened the doors extensively on that CIP program. Last call for questions, council. Are there any? Seeing none, the recommendation is before you to adopt the governance model. Is there a mover and a seconder? Okay, seconder. Councillor Haggett, moved by Myers, seconded by Haggett. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All opposed? Carried. Denise, thank you very much for that. Morrell, we have you up, Public Works. You're gonna talk to us about, the completion of sidewalks and the, surplus equipment, endeavor that, you proposed to council. Take it away.
Thank you, Mayor. Through the mayor to council, before his report is a closeout report for the sidewalk replacement program. The 2026 sidewalk replacement program has been successfully completed. The project was completed under budget, and I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay. Council, any questions on that? Morrell, we like those words under budget. It sounds good. Council, I don't see any questions here. Our sidewalks are complete. We rotate them throughout the municipality year to year so that everyone has a fair shake at this. You remember the ones being done in Wardsville a few years ago. Currently, the ones in Glencoe are done. Is there a motion to accept the recommendation as presented? Councilor Emery, Councilor Haggett. No questions? All in favor? Carried. And Morrell, identify the surplus equipment and tell us that story there.
Yeah, through the mayor to council, before you is a surplus equipment report. 2 roadside mowers have been replaced and are no longer required. There's an Epps power washer that's been replaced and no longer needed. And the 2023 Olympia ice resurfacer will become surplus once the new one is delivered and operational. Staff recommend that council declare the 2 bush hog mowers, the Epps power washer, and the 2023 Olympia ice resurfacer surplus and authorize the disposal in accordance with the municipality's fleet disposal policy. And I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Yeah, thank you. Council, any questions? Seeing no, oh yes, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Question is for Morrow. I just wondered how the new roadside mowers are working out. Are you happy with them?
Yes, through the mayor, that the staff is happy and are working really well and more reliable than the old ones. So it's been really good.
That's good. Any further questions? Motion to accept the recommendation as presented. Chair will take it. Councilor Myers, Councilor Vink, all in favor? Carried. Thank you, Morrell, very much. Okay, Andrew, I hear see you're up here. Yeah. 843, Brammer Drain Extension, appoint the engineer. Take it away. This is in your field. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a continuation from last month's meeting where council accepted the petition under the Drainage Act, under Section 4 of the Drainage Act. Quick background, the owner of Concession 1, Lot 18 in the former Mosa Township has a concern of excess surface water flowing onto his property. And what he has done is submitted a petition under the Drainage Act to alleviate this, to catch the water and direct it into the catch basin that's already on the Brammer drain. And so just to keep things short, at this point, I would recommend that council appoint Street and Associates under Section 4 of the Drainage Act for Concession 1, Lot 18, former Mosa Township, to construct a new municipal drain. And I'm open for any questions if there are any.
Thank you. Council, the invitation has been extended. Are there any? Okay, seeing none, the recommendation, Jody, you're okay? Yeah, okay. Chair will entertain a motion to accept the recommendation. Councilor McCollum, seconder for that. Councilor Vink, all in favor? Carried. Andrew, thank you very much. Community service and facilities, there are none. Fire, there's none. Building, we've had Arnie's report. Planning, we've had enough of that tonight. No, the chair has not been advised of any notices of motion. Correspondence and petitions, there are none. No unfinished business from the consent agenda. New business, none. County council and conference updates, always in the package. Council, I'll pause for a moment. Any announcements? Okay. 15, we're into closed session pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001. Recommendations that the regular meeting of council of the municipality of Southwest Middlesex be temporarily adjourned at 7:20 to permit the holding of a meeting in closed session for purposes exclusive to pursuant to the section 2392 of the Municipal Act. And I will ask for a mover and a seconder that we enter into closed, and I will hand the gavel over to the deputy mayor. Mover and a seconder. Councillor Myers, seconder for that. Councillor McCollum,